Start of another week in fantasy baseball, whole new crop of players to panic about, including some more repeat performers. But we've got to start with a player who looked like he might be the Cy Young Award winner in the National League until he got grimaced. That's right, running into the New York Mets offense ever since Grimace threw out the first pitch is like running into a buzzsaw. You cannot stop it. They've scored the most runs in baseball over the past week, and even Shota Imanaga of the Cubs couldn't slow them down. But if you have Imanaga on your team, I mean, you've been thrilled all year, but you probably noticed it wasn't the first time that he's gotten touched. In fact, this is the second really bad start over the last 5. We know his ERA was bound to go up at some point. It went up more than a full run just from that one start. But again, this is not the only bad start he's had, so our hitters starting to figure him out. The problem has been the home run ball because over his last 5 starts, he's given up 7 long balls. Only 3 of them came against the Mets, but it seems like it's becoming a problem. This is the one thing that people who weren't quite sold on Imanaga thought might be a problem, more of a fly ball pitcher. In the friendly confines there at Wrigley, if you have a power-hitting, right-handed lineup, they could touch him, and that's what's happened. So you think that he's going to implode now, and we're going to see a downward trajectory as hitters continue to pound him? Or are we going to just let things settle down, not overreact here? Well, I will say that right now, I'm putting the panic meter at an 8 for Imanaga. Now, this isn't because I think he's going to continue to get lit up, but we knew at some point this was bound to happen. He wasn't going to keep an ERA below 1 all season, and these concerns that people had, yeah, they did finally crop up, but he has been mostly good. Again, far better than expected, but he's a quality pitcher. He's a veteran pitcher, not a veteran MLB pitcher, but he's been around the Japanese league for a while. He is not somebody who's going to just rely on swings and misses. He knows how to induce soft contact. Look, he's been inducing a lot of strikeouts as well. He has been the real deal. So he will still have some occasions like this. So I will say if you expected him to continue what he had been doing, that was probably a mistake. But the problem is you don't know what to do with him right now, and you really can't do anything with him. Obviously, if you've had Imanaga, the window to sell high was before this last start, right? You can't really move on from him because you're not getting what you would have gotten before, and I don't think it'll be worth it anymore. He is still going to be a very good pitcher the rest of the season. He is still worth keeping, and on the other side, I wouldn't say that he's somebody that you need to move, or I probably don't think you really have a buy low window either, which is weird. He's not really a sell high or a buy low. He's somebody you just kind of need to continue to roll with if you have him. And now the Blue Jays. Yes, this whole season has been filled with disappointment, as if it hasn't been bad enough already. Now we got some new concerns, and that has to do with the pitching staff. Jose Berrios has been their one kind of shining beacon there. He's been so steady. He's been the rock of that rotation. He's been great in fantasy, and especially if you're in a league that counts quality starts. It's like every time he takes the mound, he's getting you a QS, but not so much lately. Heading into mid-June, Berrios had not allowed more than 3 earned runs in a game all year. And the last 2 starts, he's given up 9 runs in the last 2 total. Now, he still holds a 3.43 ERA, 1.13 whip, still all good. He has managed to get a few wins despite being in Toronto. But the strikeout numbers are not that great, right? This is a guy who is a little past his prime, and so he's having to get by mixing things up with hitters. He's not going to blow a heat by them. He's not going to be generating a ton of whiffs. He's going to have to be spot on with his command, and he has been. I mean, he's been a rock, but if he's not going to be helping out your ratios a lot, again, not getting you a ton of wins, not getting you a ton of strikeouts, then how valuable is he? Well, he's still valuable. I'm not going to take too much away from these 2 starts. It's funny, just so happens that both these last 2 starts where he got hit hard, giving up 4 runs and 5 runs, where he had not done that all season, they both came against the Cleveland Guardians. Now, this Cleveland Guardians offense is not the best in baseball. It's not the Yankees or anything. They just seem to have his number for some reason. So it could be just one of those outlier things. I don't think we have to worry about anything as far as injury is concerned. Haven't heard anything there. It's not a matter of velocity because he's not going to buy with his velocity anyways. I think he'll be fine. So for the most part, not worried here. Gonna set the panic meter to about an even 5. If you've had Barrios, just keep rolling with him. Should be fine. We're probably beyond panicked with the offense here at this point, but let's go back and take a look again at Vladimir Guerrero Jr. We have to really take a hard assessment as far as what do we think we're getting from him the rest of the season. It's funny because if you look at his numbers, especially at StatCast, you'd think he's having a monster year. I mean, this guy right now is third in the majors in hard hit percentage, only behind Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. He's got the second most actual hard hits behind only Ohtani. Top 5 percentile in expected batting average. His XBA is 300 and 94th percentile ex-WOBA. I mean, this guy should just be having a monster year, but it kind of feels underwhelming in fantasy because right now he's giving you a 279 average, which is fine, but nothing special. 9 home runs, 33 RBIs, 33 runs. This is all solid, but you can't tell me there's not a lot of players that you could probably imagine have similar numbers and you didn't spend, a top 25 pick on them. And as I mentioned, the news for Toronto just seems to be going from bad to worse. Bo Bichette was already a big bust. Now he's on the IL, which just makes that lineup a little bit worse. We thought there was a glimmer of hope with Aurelvis Martinez getting called up, and then he got suspended for 80 games. Addison Barger's there and has just done nothing. Justin Turner, the veteran, not having his best season. He's probably going to get moved at the trade deadline. George Springer appears to be dust at this point. I mean, are we really going to think that this lineup is going to support Vladdy, even if the power does suddenly emerge and he actually does start hitting home runs like we think he's capable of? I mean, I know he's capable of, he just isn't doing it. What is the upside for counting stats here rest of the season? And how much should we be worried? I'm going to set it at a 7.5. I'm going to say this because I'm worried, I'm convinced that I'm not getting what I hoped for preseason. I'm not getting a guy who's hitting 35, 40. I don't even know if he can get to 30 home runs at this point, and he really should be able to. And sure, even if the batting average does see some positive regression, it's just going to feel a little shallow compared to what he's not giving you in terms of the counting stats. Obviously, you're not getting any speed to make up for. He's got 2 steals this season. And if that lineup somehow gets worse because, like I said, already injuries and suspensions and disappointments, and then they start trading people at the deadline, man, it's going to be a really big letdown for Vladdy owners. So, yeah, I'm a little concerned about him, a little more so each and every passing day. Now let's head south to Texas. Obviously, not exactly the follow-up to a championship year that the Rangers have expected. There's still plenty of time, but let's now take a look again at Corey Seager, the linchpin here of that offense. Now, you feel like he's not having a bad year, but again, not delivering what you expected, and lately it's been a power outage. He only has 1 home run in the month of June, and his batting average isn't really making up for it. He's hitting .252 on the season. And then there's kind of those nagging injuries. The hamstring seems to be bothering him because every once in a while he'll miss a game. He'll get swapped out for a pinch runner. So you now have to concern yourself with the ongoing issue in Seager's career. Is he 100% healthy? Is this going to be something that kind of lingers as the season goes on? I did talk about Seager a few weeks ago and said, I don't think I'm worried. He'll probably wind up giving you what you hoped for by season's end. But man, right now it's a downhill trajectory. Over the last 50 plate appearances, that rolling ex-WOBA is taking a sharp turn downward, minus 236 points. But once again with Seager, I'm not too concerned because, he's at least out there most days. If there's something nagging that's bothering him, it doesn't seem to be too serious. I would really like to see that batting average closer to 300, which it should be for a guy like Seager. And the power at least is mostly there. Unlike Vlad Guerrero, who's only got 9 home runs, at least Seager has 14 on the season. And this Rangers offense should get better. They're on the verge of getting Josh Jung back from the IL. He's been gone for a while. Wyatt Langford starting to finally look like a top prospect. So I'm pretty optimistic here overall. And again, with Seager, at least he's there. I think he'll get better. So I'm not going to move on from him or do anything drastic if I've got him. And sometimes the player you need to start worrying about is one that you had all the confidence in the world because he was ripping it up early in the season. Things have taken a big change for the worse for Sal Perez. In April, he was one of the best hitters in all of baseball, especially for fantasy. He hit .368, 6 home runs, and 22 RBIs. How have things changed for him? Well, it's very simple to see. This is what we call a downhill slope, steadily coming back down to earth in May and then in June, hitting 152 with 1 home run and just 4 RBIs. We're not looking at any peaks and valleys here. It's been one very slow and steady descent. But I'll just say right now, as far as Perez goes, I can't say I'm really panicked because, look, this wasn't a guy you really expected to be necessarily a high-end fantasy asset. He wasn't drafted like that. Sure, drafted to be a starting catcher because we know he's still got power. I don't think that we can say we're disappointed so far with his season-long stats. Sure, you're worried about what he's done lately or hasn't done, but in the end, I think he's going to give you exactly what you expected and exactly what the projections would say. Each of the last 2 seasons finished with exactly 23 home runs and an average in the 250s. I think that's exactly what he's going to finish with this year. Just a weird way of getting there. Just kind of got a lot of it early on and not much lately. But you can't just jump ship here. He is a veteran, beyond veteran. He's going to be in that lineup, which has been pretty good. Royals lineup so far this year, and he's going to continue to produce. There's not a lot of catchers you can really feel comfortable with. I mean, you don't want to stream that position if you don't have to. So, like, if you want to bench Perez until further notice, no problem with that. You might be okay picking up Freddie Fermin, who is now catcher also sometimes for the Royals. Of course, Perez these days is mostly a DH anyways. Fermin has been hitting well in place of Perez. Well, if you want to stream him or any of the other handful of catchers who might be out there, Tyler Soderstrom, Francisco Alvarez, somebody like that. And in the meantime, just wait for Perez to pick it up. I think he will. And if you're still looking for help at any position, you need a streamer, you need somebody who can give your offense or your pitching staff a boost. Got a ton of waiver wire recommendations. Check out the latest video.